Don't listen to her,
I
Richter.
have no choice.
There's always a choice.
I'm sorry, Richter.
He knows you kill vampires.
But I pray for you.
I'm so sorry.
So part of you has died.
We're looking for someone called Belmont.
Richter Belmont will star in the all-new Netflix Castlevania series, Castlevania Nocturn. Created by Powerhouse Animation, known primarily for the work on Netflix's previous Castlevania series, as well as Masters of the Universe Revelation. My name's David, and you're watching Storybound. Let's find out what Dracula and the forces of hell are up to in Castlevania Nocturn. The upcoming series will star Richter Belmont, who following his bloodline was destined to be a vampire hunter. He first appears in the game Castlevania Rondo of Blood, and has multiple supporting appearances throughout the series. Assuming Richter will remain the son of Simon Belmont, based on the existing canon, that would make him the grandson of Trevor and Sypha from the Netflix series. Something that was loosely touched on in the series thus far is that with each generation of the Belmont clan, the Hunter descendants increase in power and will inherit this as a blood right. Richter himself has made himself incredibly renowned as being one of the most powerful Belmonts of all time. The character is infamous for fans of the series and within the world itself. He is known for brandishing his sacred whip, in which his skill is unsurpassed. Although we have a pretty concrete history of Richter's exploits, where Trevor's was essentially new to canon, I am curious where the timeline will be diving into. I have confidence that Powerhouse will find a way to work things into the canon, and would not be surprised if we see a scenario where the season 1 follows the events of Rondo of Blood, and perhaps ends the season with him being brainwashed by Dracula's forces, leading into the events of Symphony of the Night. For those who don't know, in Rondo of Blood, Richter faces the forces of evil humans led by a dark priest, who wants to resurrect Dracula. As Dracula comes back to power, Richter is forced to fight death. Pushing his abilities determines Richter's abilities are unsurpassed. He flees, vowing next time they meet, things won't go so well for the vampire hunter. Richter proceeds to fight his way through the town, taking on all variations of Hellspawn, and teaming up with Maria, who helps to collapse the Dark Priest's army until eventually facing off against Dracula himself, who, after a lengthy battle, flees when he is unable to defeat Richter in his current form. This would make sense for perhaps the first 2/3 of a season to me, ending the season with the intro to Symphony of the Night, in which Shaft reappears, the minion of Dracula, and tricks Richter into falling under Dracula's control via his crystal ball, leaving a moment to tease the reappearance of arguably the most popular character in Castlevania, Alucard. This could introduce some neat dynamics of having Richter appear a few times facing off against Alucard, and really pushing him to his limits to introduce some new story elements within Symphony of the Night, which some people could consider to be a retcon, but I would certainly not be against. But essentially the story would be Alucard reawakens after Richter is tricked into aiding Shaft in his attempts to resurrect his father, and would fight his way up the castle once more and free Richter from the spell controlling him. Alucard leaves Richter and Maria, the way he would in the story, to fight Shaft and make his way through the castle one more in the mirror dimension, or the upside down version of the castle from the game. This could be somewhere that Season 2 could easily end, with the idea of Shaft and Dracula once again defeated by Alucard. This would be a pretty exciting fight at the point where a near full power Dracula and Alucard in the fight against Shaft also is fairly loose in terms of the story from the games, and we could introduce quite a bit of story here with the dynamics of Richter and Maria. Since recording this, I have found a quote from Netflix stating that they would be focusing around these timelines of the game, so it'll be super cool to see how they play it out. My hopes would be we would have the season end, Richter denouncing vampire hunting due to his failures like he does in the game, and this would open things up where I feel the majority of the story could be entirely revamping. Where Richter is pushed back into vampire hunting due to vampire attacks, meeting the new vampire hunters, meeting back up with Maria as well as Alucard, and him redeeming himself in the battle against Magnus. Magnus being a demi-human trying to also resurrect Dracula, a pretty core theme to Castlevania in general. Once again, this could lead into the further notion of the third series, but I'm being a bit optimistic here. We did get several seasons of the first Castlevania, but this would be where Richter could meet Jonathan Morris and Charlotte Allen and essentially train them to be proper hunters. I'm not sure how people feel about Portrait of Ruin as a game. I personally missed that one, but this could be another interesting place to expand the story forward and reintroduce characters in a new light. From my understanding from Castlevania community, some of the retcons that exist in the original series are very well received, and the story itself has never been a major focus for the series. I know some of the thoughts or details I shared here aren't exactly in depth, they're just some thoughts about where I think the pacing of the newest series could take place to help please the fans, and myself obviously. It's also entirely possible we get the story taking place some prior events of Rondo of Blood leading up to it, and maybe some original stuff taking place after it. Either way, I'm stupidly excited for this. The first series was one of my favorite animated shows of recent memory, and it's honestly up there with Spider-Verse and Arcane for me. I loved the characters, and some of the fight scenes are top tier. Either way, let me know what you think in the comments down below. Are you excited? Worried? Don't care at all? For some reason, even though you clicked this video specifically catered for Castlevania fans? No worries. Please like and subscribe. And as always, have a good one.